Ladies and gentlemen, on today's show, we are interviewing the self-help expert, Noah St. John. Throughout his career, he's written 15 books that have been featured in ABC, NBC, CBS, Fox, Entrepreneur, The Huffington Post, and numerous media outlets. And today he joins us to share about the power habits of super successful people. Think about that for a second. What if you had the same habits as super successful people? What if you did the same thing that super successful people do day in, day out on a daily basis? Would you too become successful? That is what Noah St. John is talking about on today's show. And now, ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, my exclusive interview with Noah St. John.
Some shows don't need a celebrity narrator to introduce the show, but this show does. 2 men, 8 kids, co-created by 2 different women, 13 multi-million-dollar businesses. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Thrive Time Show.
3, 2, 1, here we go!
Started from the bottom, now we here. Started from the bottom, and we'll show you how to get here. Started from the bottom, now we here. Started from the bottom, now we here. Started from the bottom, now we here. Started from the bottom.
Yes, and yes. Dr. Z, on today's show, we have a guest who's kind of a big deal.
He is kind of a big deal. He's kind of a...
Have you been to his website, Dr. Z? Have you checked out his website?
I'm on it right now.
Okay.
It's impressive.
Noah St. John. Noah St. John, welcome onto the Thrive Time Show, sir. How are you?
Oh, great to be here, guys. I'm just doing great. How about you?
Well, Z and I were doing our research, before having you on the show, and we've discovered that you've written 15 books. You've written 15 books, and so we thought we would just start by having you read each one of them to us. Does that sound fair?
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's get started.
Okay. Seriously though, because our guests are gonna go to your website, noahstjohn.com, noahstjohn.com, and they're gonna see you've been featured on ABC, NBC, CBS, Fox, Parade Magazine, Entrepreneur, Huffington Post. I mean, you've had a great career. A lot of great stuff is happening and has happened to you in the past. But take us back to the beginning. What was your life like growing up, and where did you grow up?
Well, it's funny you asked because I grew up in a little town called Kennebunkport, Maine, and I grew up poor in a rich neighborhood. And I know that's a total cliche, but it's totally true. I grew up in a little town called Kennebunkport, Maine, which just happens to be one of the wealthiest communities in New England. But my family was dirt poor, and I mean that literally because we lived at the bottom of a dirt road in a drafty, unfinished house that my parents ended up losing to foreclosure. So from a very young age, I was painfully exposed to the gap, the chasm between the haves and the have-nots. The haves was everyone else in the community. The have-nots was my family. And, you hear these speakers, they get on stage and say, well, we were poor, but we didn't know we were poor. We were happy. Well, we freaking knew we were poor because my mother reminded us every day that we were poor and miserable. So I'm like, no, it wasn't happy. It sucked.
Was your life... as a fan, was it also terrible? Were you cheering for the Patriots before they were winning?
I was. It's funny you asked that. Yes, I was. In fact, I talk about that in my new book, the fact that I cheered for the Patriots when they were one of the worst teams in the NFL. So, and, of course, the Red Sox, well, they sucked, too, when they couldn't win anything to save their life. And now, they're the 2 teams of the millennium. So it's kind of like ha, 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 ha. It's pretty cool to see that come around now.
So when did you first figure out what you wanted to do professionally? And when did that idea occur to you?
Well, when I grew up in that, that's my family of origin, and I hated that life of poverty and fear and lack and not enoughness. And I saw right down the street that it didn't have to be that way. Literally, I saw there was wealth and abundance literally down the street. So I said, I don't like being poor. I hate it. And so I just did what I knew how to do, which is I went to the library and I started reading books on personal growth, self-help, like the classics like Dale Carnegie, Napoleon Hill, Stephen Covey, all the classics. And so that's when I really knew that I wanted to be a speaker and an author. I wanted to teach people about business growth, about spiritual, their spiritual lives and also business. But I really, of course, didn't know anything about it. But I really, really always had that dream. But at age 25, I had been trying to do all this for many, many years. I've been reading all these books, really trying to put it into practice. But I just couldn't get it to work. I was very frustrated. I was broke. I was depressed and lonely. And so at one point when I was 25 years old, I decided to commit suicide. And at the very last moment, I didn't take my own life. My life was spared. I tell that whole story in the book, but my point is that I decided to devote the rest of my life to serving God and serving humanity as best I could while I was still here on the earth. But the only problem was I still didn't know why I was here on the earth. So I went on another journey. This was more of a spiritual journey, reading books by people like Deepak Chopra, Ernest Holmes, Marianne Williamson, the spiritual thinkers of our time. And then in 1997, fast forward many years to 1997, that's when I had the two epiphanies that led to the work that I'm doing now. I started my company, SuccessPoint.com, in my college dorm room in 1997 with $800 and a book on how to do HTML. So really, I ended up, without really knowing it or knowing that what I was doing or that I was doing it, I ended up starting one of the very first personal and business growth websites on the internet back in 1997 at SuccessPoint.com. So really, even though I had known that I wanted to do it, I never knew the vehicle or how to do it until then. And, it's gone pretty well since then.
And how would you, for the listeners out there that are curious, how did you make your first, $50,000? I mean, was it off of the website, teaching people HTML coding? Was it selling books? Was it selling Cutco knives, Kirby vacuums? What was the move?
Yeah, really. Well, it's funny you asked that because in 1997, as you recall, remember if you're online back then, it was a dial-up, all that, and so you forget videos. There was no way you could do videos. There was no social media, no Facebook, YouTube, any of that stuff, no blogging really. And then even if you put a picture on your website, it had to be like 5 pixels by 5 pixels. So it was really, really hard back then. I don't even think I could take credit cards. So basically, I just had this book that I put out. I self-published it, and then it was published by the Chicken Soup for the Soul publisher. But I really didn't know what I was doing, so I ended up spending all this money going to all these gurus, and they all said different things, and then I come to find out, really they can't teach their way out of a paper bag. So really, I had to just piece it all together myself. So the first $50,000 was really just selling these books, and people would send me checks in the mail, believe it or not. I mean, like I said, you couldn't even take credit cards back then.
Wow.
But really, it wasn't until 2007 that when I hired my first business coach and I stopped listening to all the, these gurus who, suck at teaching, that I finally was able to break the 6 and then 7-figure mark. So It really took a lot longer than I would have liked, but now we're able to help people get there much, much faster and easier.
Now, see, this guy, Noah St. James here, Noah St. John, you've been published by Hay House, HarperCollins, Simon & Schuster, Nightingale Conant. I mean, you very few authors, I don't think any author has been published on as many different labels as you have, publishing companies. What do you attribute your success as an author? Is it the way you hold your pen?
Well, what's funny is when I was a little kid, I'm talking like kindergarten, first grade, I always loved words. According to my mother, and she was a teacher, I was actually reading before I was 2 years old. And I was reading actual books, not just picture books. So you can ask my mother if you don't believe me. But anyway, so I just always loved words. I love books. Like I said earlier, I grew up in the library. I went to the library to really escape that life of poverty and not enoughness that I grew up in. And so I just always loved books. I dreamed about being an author and being a speaker. But here's the thing. I made a commitment, a vow to myself, even before I had these epiphanies that changed my life in 1997, that I wasn't going to just say the same thing that everyone else does. Anybody who's listening to this program, if you've been in the personal or business growth industry or listen to anybody out there for any length of time, you quickly realize that everybody's basically saying the same thing. Say your goals, think positive, you can do it, and all that stuff. And, I mean, they're not saying anything wrong necessarily, but it's also usually not that helpful, right? And it's just a bunch of stories that don't really go anywhere. So I said, look, I'm not doing that. I can't stand that. And I think a lot of people are frustrated by it. I hear people say that to me all the time at my live events or at my keynote speeches, and they say, thank God you're not like those other guys. I'm like, thank you. But my point is that I think that's one of the reasons is because I always made a determination, even before I knew what I was doing, I knew that I wanted to say something different, that I wanted to have a different voice out there, a different message that wasn't just the same old read, recite, regurgitate that everybody else is doing. And so, what's nice is to see the results that people get from using my Power Habit system. They're, adding 6 and 7 and even 8 figures to their business. We've also helped people overcome addiction. We've saved marriages, helped people find the love of their lives, and on and on and on. And that's what's so exciting and makes you really happy is when you get those messages from people whose lives you've changed. And I think that's really what it's all about, is about changing lives and transforming people's lives and businesses so that they can reach their goals even faster.
No, I'd love to have you share with us about your new book, Get Rid of Your Head Trash About Money, how to avoid the 3 big money mistakes that even smart people make. But before we do that, tell us about these power habits. I mean, one power habit you have is your calves are always well maintained.
Power habits.
I mean,
Yes,
you
I
come in
mean,
here and your calves,
I
if
do,
you look,
yes.
if you looked at Z's calves, his calf muscles are impressive.
That's kind of a foundation building
power
block.
habit.
It's a power habit.
Tell us, what are these power habits,
Yeah.
Noah?
Well, so I have actually 2 new books that you mentioned. It's funny you mentioned that. So I have a new book called Power Habits. That is the title of the book, Power Habits. And the subtitle is The New Science for Making Success Automatic. And your listeners can learn more at powerhabitsbook.com and get a lot of free gifts, actually, when they order the book at powerhabitsbook.com. And then I also have another book called, as you mentioned, Get Rid of Your Head Trash About Money, How to Avoid the 3 Big Money Mistakes Even Smart People Make. And that's, you can get that at headtrashmoney.com. So, but as far as power habits go, what power habits is all about is about what highly successful people do unconsciously that they can't teach you. So the full name of the system is called the Power Habits of Unconsciously Successful People. And I know that's a mouthful, but what some people say about my work is that my work starts where Napoleon Hill's left off. I'm sure we're all familiar with Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich, and as you know, Napoleon Hill interviewed all these successful people, and he said, hey, what do you do? Well, you do this, 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 and this, and you make a lot of money. Oh, okay. And so, of course, millions of people read that book, and my argument is, well, so many people read that book, how come everybody's not rich? So the point is that what I realized after 20 years of research is that these highly successful people are doing things unconsciously that they don't even know they're doing, and therefore they don't tell you because they're like, it's asking a fish to tell you about water. What's water, right? A fish doesn't even know that water exists because he doesn't know anything about water. So the point is, what Power Habits is all about, my Power Habit system, is teaching you what highly successful people do unconsciously that they're not even aware of. And that's one of the reasons we get so many amazing success stories and results for people, is because they've already gone to all the big gurus and all the seminars and all that stuff, and everybody's saying the same thing. And meanwhile, it's like, well, how come I'm still stuck? And so what the reason is because they're saying all the same things that aren't exactly wrong, but they also don't get to the cause of the situation. They don't get to the cause of the problem, and that's what the Power Habit system fixes.
Tell us maybe one. Can you give us one of the power habits? Can we ask for one power habit?
Just one. You think he'll share with us one?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm so excited to share that with you. So one of my most popular power habits that I teach is my teaching of affirmations. Now, of course, everybody listening to this program knows what an affirmation is. An affirmation, of course, is a statement of something you want to be true. How do we know that? Because everybody says to use affirmations, right? Every book you've ever read in self-help says the same thing. Well, say these statements and you'll be happy, right? I'm happy, I'm rich, I'm successful. Well, I tried that. I tried it for years, saying this, writing it down, doing all the things they tell you to do. Meanwhile, I'm not happy, I'm miserable, I'm not rich, I'm broke, and I'm not successful, I'm a loser, right? So I felt like a total loser because I'm doing everything they said and it still didn't work. And I said, what's going on here? So in 1997, I was in the shower. It was April 24th, 1997. I was in the shower thinking about this. And I said, how come I've been using these darn statements, doing everything they say, and it's still not working? And I realized, well, we're talking about beliefs, but what is a belief? A belief is just a thought. Well, what is thought? Thought is the process of asking and searching for answers to questions. Not statements, but questions. So I said, well, wait a minute. If the human mind is automatically searching for answers to questions, why are we going around making statements we don't believe? Why don't we just cut out the middleman? And I said, well, what would that look like? So like at my live events or my keynote speeches, one of the things I like to do is have everybody stand up and say, okay, we're going to use an affirmation. Ready? I am rich. Everybody goes, I am rich. And you know what happens next? Everybody starts laughing. And I go, what are you laughing at? And they go, well, I'm not rich. And I said, well, you just said you were. And they go, yeah, but I don't believe it. And I said, okay, that's the old way. Now let's try a new way. So I teach you my affirmations method. Affirmations is using empowering questions instead of statements. So instead of saying something like, I am rich, and your brain goes, yeah, right, you ask a question, why am I so rich? And when you ask the question, why am I so rich, what immediately starts to happen in your brain? Your brain starts to search for the answer. So what we're really talking about in this power habit of affirmations, my affirmations method, is the law of sowing and reaping. As you sow, so shall you reap. Now, that's an ancient law. It's been taught for centuries, but what are we sowing? We're sowing seeds of thought. And yet, what are most people doing? Sowing lousy thought seeds. Why am I so stupid? Why am I so broke? Why can't I lose weight? Why am I so fat? Why does nothing ever work out for me? When you ask lousy questions, you get lousy answers, which creates a lousy life. So what I teach in the Power Habit of Affirmations, my Affirmations method, is instead of asking lousy questions that lead to lousy answers, create a lousy life, you start asking empowering questions which lead to phenomenal answers and help you create a wonderful life.
So if Clay were to use this, one of the questions he might ask himself is self Claytron.
Claytron.
May I call you Claytron self?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
may.
sure, yeah.
Okay. Why is your head so large?
Well, it's to contain all the knowledge. First off, that's what I would say to myself.
See, there you go. That's the positive spin on it.
It is.
So I can hold
when you have
even more
we have a 9
information.
3/4 head. You know, you got to come up with some sort of rationale for it.
You've got to.
I had to modify my entryway just to get into my house.
I like that though. That was a subtle twist, Noah, on doing that. What everybody's been taught over years, you know, is to proclaim it, to prophesy it, you know, I am rich, and yet they know they're not. But you know, why am I rich? That's an interesting. I like that. That's good. Now, a more important
Very
question.
powerful. I just got an email the other day from somebody who wrote to me from Canada, one of my students, and one of my clients, and he said that he had been using Affirmations, my Affirmations and Power Habits, for only 4 months, and he had been addicted to caffeine, nicotine, and other substances for 17 years. He'd been trying to overcome addiction for 17 years. And using my Affirmations, he was able to quit in less than 90 days.
I wonder. So what question? I wonder what question he asked himself is why have I stopped using caffeine? Is that it? I mean, is that kind of playing the same game? I mean,
that's one example. Yeah, I give you hundreds of examples in the books and
sure.
in the program. So yeah, that's one example. Yes.
Okay, no, I've got a hard hitting question now.
Hard hitting question. This just in.
I'm ready.
On your website, it shows you ripping your shirt open and a T-shirt underneath it with a NSJ like shield on it. You know the picture I'm talking about.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Okay, what does a fella have to do to get a T-shirt like that? Because that's just pretty cool.
It is pretty awesome, isn't it? Well, you just send me an email. Just go to my website, shoot me an email, and we'll make sure to get you one of those.
All right. I wear medium, so I'll make sure and send that out to you. Cause,
okay, gotcha.
I'm going to have to go medium because I've been kind of working out.
No, I want to ask you about this.
Flying off the shelves, Clay. Let me just tell you.
Now, do you have this book here, Get Rid of Your Head Trash About Money?
Yep.
What's an example of some head trash people have about money?
Okay, so what I want to first explain is what is head trash, right? Because people are saying, okay, if I want to get rid of head trash, what does that mean? So head trash is the voice in your head that says, I can't do it because ... And then you just fill in the blank. I can't do it because I'm too old. I can't do it because I can't afford it. I can't do it because I don't have the time. I can't do it because I'm divorced. I can't do it because I don't live in the right city, blah, 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 whatever it might be. Here's the point about your head trash. You always make yourself right. All right, so if you say, for example, well, no, this all sounds great. I want to grow my business. I want to make more money. I want to be happier. I want to live a freedom lifestyle, but I can't do it because I don't have the time, right? So guess what? You're going to make yourself right. But meanwhile, I can come in there, like with my coaching clients, I come in and I look at your business and I say, do you understand why you're wasting 1 to 3 hours every single day? And we could get that same thing done in less than 15 minutes if you just stop wasting all your time, and your focus on all these other things. We've had clients that have realized that they were telling themselves these types of things, and then, of course, you make yourself right. So it's like, see, I told you I couldn't do it. So, for example, when you're looking at get rid of your head trash about money, that's one of the great examples is, well, I can't make the money that I want because I didn't go to the right school, or I can't make the money that I want because I don't have the time, or because I don't have the right connections, or whatever it might be, and you always make yourself right. So that's why getting rid of your head trash about money is so important. But, I mean, not just money. You got to get rid of your head trash about relationships and everything else. That's why Get Rid of Your Head Trash About Money, we released that book, and then we also released the Power Habits book so that we can help people understand and utilize the power habits of unconsciously successful people so that you don't have to listen to that head trash anymore. And then that way you can get better results much quicker.
You come across as a very proactive dude. How do you organize the first 4 hours of every day?
Those are very important hours, as you know. All right, so the first 4 hours of my day, first of all, I spend at least 20 to 30 minutes first thing thanking God for the gifts of my life. I grew up in a situation which, and I know is very common, which is I was shown what I don't have. I was constantly reminded of what I don't have. Right, so it's very simple, as I was talking about earlier, the law of sowing and reaping. As you sow, so shall you reap. So if you sow the seeds, the thought seeds of I don't have, the universe says, okay, you don't have. But if you sow the thought seeds of thank you for everything that I have, then you get more to be thankful for. Now, it sounds so simple, but what people forget is it's so easy to focus on the negative. It's so easy to focus on what we don't have. And so this is why another tip that I always give my coaching clients is something I want to share with your audience right now, which is do not have your phone in the bedroom. And, of course, half your audience just fainted. But listen very carefully. If you have your phone in your bedroom, what are you going to do when you first wake up? You're going to check your phone. What are you going to do? You're going to go on social media, and you're going to see everybody posting about their great life and how happy they are. Look at this, and I'm so great, and I got all this stuff. And immediately your brain goes into, I don't have, oh, I wish I had his life. I wish I had her life. Meanwhile, I'm totally dissing what I have. So I don't even want to go there. That's why I don't even have the phone in the bedroom. I never sleep with it. Now, 90% of Americans sleep with the phone within arm reach. I get it. But that's just one little thing you can do right now today that literally could change your life. It sounds so simple, and it is simple. But guess what? It's so powerful because you're sowing the thought seeds of I don't have, which means you're going to get more of I don't have. You start sowing thought seeds of I have, and thank you for what I have, you're going to get more to be thankful for.
Z, that's hot stuff right there. Hot stuff. Noah, I've got a final question for you. You've got about 500,000 folks that will hear this podcast this year. Many people are very action-orientated. I'd say most of our listeners are they want to know what to do. What would you recommend all of our listeners do as an action step as a result of hearing today's show?
There's two things that I can recommend. First of all, go to powerhabitsbook.com and order my new book, Power Habits. And the reason that I'm telling you that is because I will give you a gift package worth $299 when you order the Power Habits book on powerhabitsbook.com. And the second thing is if you go to headtrashmoney.com, I'll send you the Get Rid of Your Head Trash Money book for free. We just ask you to cover the shipping. Headtrashmoney.com, very easy to remember. So with this, what we're going to do is we're going to send you lots and lots of free gifts. We're going to also send you some really, really powerful information to help you transform your life and your business so that you can have more time, more energy, better relationships, and more money. Those are the four things that we say create what we call a freedom lifestyle. So if your listeners want to have that freedom lifestyle so they can have more time, more energy, better relationships, and more money, that's what we really, really strongly suggest. PowerHabitsBook.com and HeadTrashMoney.com, and we're happy to help them.
Z, I'm going to give you the floor to ask Noah the final question of today's show. Any question you want to ask Noah at all, my friend, I give you the floor.
No, one of the questions I love to kind of make people think about is if you could go back in time, say, what did your career really kind of get going? How many years ago? Was it, you said 97 you had your epiphany, or 97, the mid-90s?
Yeah, 97.
Yeah, so 20 years ago, 20 plus now, right? Roughly?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So if you could go back those 22, 23 years when you're having that epiphany in the shower, you're getting downloaded on some stuff going, oh my gosh, this is what I need to run with. If you could go back in that time and talk to yourself and give advice, knowing what you know now, what would you tell yourself?
I would say don't be seduced by the gurus. The gurus out there, if you look on social media or anywhere, what they're doing is they're standing in their garage saying, look at all my cool cars, look at all my shiny objects, look at all my cool stuff, look at all this money I've made. Now, we all want nice things. We all want to have cool stuff, and I get that. But what my argument is, and my question always is, well, that's great for you, but have you helped anyone else? And see, I'd rather brag about the car that's in your garage that I helped you make because of my system rather than the cars that are in my garage. Because if I'm always bragging about my stuff, then the question is, have you helped anyone else? And so that's what, unfortunately, I got seduced by those gurus. I ended up giving over $250,000 only to find out they can't teach their way out of a paper bag. So I would say to my younger self, don't get seduced by those gurus because they suck at teaching. They're great at making money for themselves, but they can't teach their way out of a paper bag. So just listen to the people who have helped other people. And that's why, like I said, when you go to our website, I brag about my clients. I'd rather brag about their cars, their success, rather than mine, because it doesn't really matter if I make lots of money if I haven't helped anyone else. That's just how I look at this. I know most people don't look at it that way. It's not very popular, but there's some people that get it, and they're actually pretty happy about the new way of looking at things. So that's what I would say to my younger self.
Perfect. And for someone listening out there, just to kind of redefine, a guru is someone that is just all about it for themselves, not about helping other people. So that's your threshold of seeing whether this person's legit or not, correct?
Well, that's how I see it. Unfortunately, those guys are really good at self-marketing, at self-promotion, and they're taking up a lot of air here in the industry. So I'm trying to give something new to the industry. I've been doing this a long, long time, but, I kept my mouth shut for a long time about it, and finally I realized I'm going to plant my stake in the ground and say, look, this is what I stand for. I stand for helping other people. I stand for making a difference, making an impact, which is what 99% of the people out there want to do. Yes, we all want to have nice things. We all want to have, money and time and things like that, and we want to take our family on fun vacations, and that's all awesome and great.
Yeah.
But the point is, are you helping other people? Are you making a difference? Are you making the world a better place? That's the kind of questions that I think we should be looking at.
Noah, I appreciate you for coming on today's show, and I encourage all of our listeners to check out your books, of which you have 15. Am I correct? 15 books?
Yes, sir.
Unbelievable. Well, on part two of this.
He's going to read them all, right?
He'll be reading them all.
Oh, perfect.
No, I can't
hardly
wait to rejoin with you for a 45-hour podcast.
Oh, it's going to be so good.
I
Be
love
glorious.
it. That was just chapter 1, what we just did today. So, we got plenty to go through.
All right, man. You take care and have a great day.
All right, I appreciate you guys. Thanks.
And now, without any further ado, 3, 2, 1, boom!